Hello, let's start the class. In today's class, we'll discuss about nationalism in India. But how we define nationalism? What is the meaning of nationalism, particularly in India's context? And the second thing, we'll discuss the things happened after 1920, the political and economic situation of India after 1920, and we'll discuss two things primarily. The first thing is non-cooperation movement, and the second thing is civil disobedience movement. And these two movements played a very vital role as far as India's freedom struggle is concerned. Now let's discuss one by one. So in other words, we know that the First World War started in 1914 to 1918. Yes, 1918. So, the First World War created a new economic and political situation. You see, it led to a huge increase in defense expenditure. Prices were increased, leading to extreme hardship for the common people. You see, we have seen the French Revolution in class 9. We have seen the Russian Revolution. We have seen the Chinese Revolution. There is one thing common in all revolutions, if you can recall. And the common thing was that the burdens of that war laid on the common people's shoulder, and they have to bear the consequences. This was the common thing in all, you see, revolution. Monarchy was exempted from all these kinds of situation, and consequences of the war come to the poor people's shoulder. So same thing happened here. So after the First World War, it led to a huge increase in defense expenditure. Prices were increased, leading to extreme hardship for the common people, because the prices were very high. They could hardly earn their bread and butter. So that was the situation of the common people of that point of time. So forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger. This was the main factor. But what was the main cause of people's anger? And the main cause of people's anger was they were forced to join the British Army, because British Army need manpower, and they forced Indians to join the British Army. And when Gandhiji came to India, Gandhiji was totally unaware about the facts and figures. And Gandhiji wanted to save the democracy, because at that point of time Britain was a democratic country. So Gandhiji liked the idea of a democracy. So he supported the Britishers, and he also urged the people to join British Army. Why? Because he wanted to support the democracy. So Gandhiji called himself a recruiting sergeant, right? And people were forced to join British Army, as I already explained right here. Forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger. That was the main cause of anger, right? During 1980 to 1990 and 1920 to 1921, crops failed in many parts of India. Due to crops failure, and it resulted in acute shortage of food. The consensus of 1931 says that around 12 to 13 million people lost their life. You see, around it's a, I think, great data. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. So around 12 to 13 million people lost their life due to famines and the epidemic. You see, first of all, understand the difference between epidemic and pandemic. Epidemic, we can say the epidemic, it affects only any particular area or any particular country. Then it is called epidemic. Whereas pandemic affected the entire world. Like we are right now, we are struggling with COVID-19. It's a pandemic as declared by the World Health Organization (WHO). So that's the big, so that's the basic difference between pandemic and pandemic. Epidemic and pandemic. So epidemic affects any particular area or any particular country or state, whereas pandemic affects the entire world. So, according to the consensus of 1935, around 12 to 30 million people perished as a result of famines. Famines means we can say the shortage of food and the epidemic. I've already discussed in my previous class, Spanish flu, 1918 to 1920. So, 12 to 13 million people lost their lives, unfortunately. So, and you're amazed to know that in 1918 to 1920, the population of India was near 25 crores. During 1980 to 1920, the population of India was mere 25 crores. And right now, our population is almost 1.35 crores, we can say that. We do not have the latest data as we can only expect the things. Yes. So, this was the situation. Imagine the situation that in 1980, first half of the 20th century, 12 to 13 million people lost their life because of famine and because of the epidemic. Now we come to the next topic, the idea of Satyagraha. This is very important, idea of Satyagraha. This term mostly experienced and used by Mahatma Gandhi. As I earlier told you, Satyagraha is a combination of two words, Satya, truth and non-violence. And Mahatma Gandhi used this Satyagraha as his weapon against the Britishers. So, as we know, that Gandhiji came to India on 9th of January 1950. Gandhiji came to India on 9th of January 1950. So, on every year, on 9th of January, we celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Because at this very day, Mahatma Gandhi came to India in 1950. And after coming to India, first of all, Mahatma Gandhi went to Gopal Krishna Gokhale. And Gopal Krishna Gokhale was a political guru of Mahatma Gandhi, and he was the founder of Servants of Indian Society. So Mahatma Gandhi went to Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale advised Mahatma Gandhi to visit Shanti Niketan, Adab of Peace, where Mahatma Gandhi met Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, and Rabindranath Tagore first time called Mahatma Gandhi as Mahatma. As you must know, the title Mahatma was given by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, and first time Mahatma Gandhi called him Gurudev. Mahatma Gandhi called Rabindranath Tagore as Gurudev, and Rabindranath Tagore called Mahatma Gandhi as Mahatma. So Mahatma Gandhi used this Satyagraha as his weapon. So he had successfully fought the racist regime with a noble method of mass agitation, Satyagraha. Mahatma Gandhi experienced Satyagraha first time in South Africa, when Mahatma Gandhi was thrown away from a running train. And later on, when Mahatma Gandhi spent almost 22 years in South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi spent 22 years in South Africa, and after that he came to India and he used Satyagraha as his weapon. So Satyagraha means what? Power of truth plus need to search for truth. These two terms. Satyagraha means power of truth plus need to search for truth. It suggested that if the cause was true, You see this line. It suggested that if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, that fiscal forces was not necessary to fight the opposition. So this was the statement made by Mahatma Gandhi himself. You can use this sentence in your answer writing. That if the cause was true, if the struggle was against injustice, then fiscal forces were not necessary to fight the operation. This was the statement made by Mahatma Gandhi. So now we'll consider three movements led by Mahatma Gandhi, and after these three movements, Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a national hero. As a national hero. That's why it is called that always try to be a leader, not a follower. Right? So first of all, Mahatma Gandhi. This is a basic question. Mahatma Gandhi experienced Satyagraha first time in Champaran, Bihar. The problem was that the European planters forced Indian farmers to grow indigo. Indigo was, we can say that what is indigo? Indigo was a kind of crop, and they were highly demanded in the European markets. And the problem was that once the indigo crop was grown, the soil lost its fertility. That's why Indian farmers did not want to grow indigo at their land, but they were forced to grow indigo by the Britishers. They were forced to grow, and the problem was that Britishers compelled them to sell their indigo crop at very lowest price. On the one side, after growing indigo crop, the soil lost its fertility. On the other hand, they did not get the proper amount. That's why the Indian farmers did not want to grow indigo at their land, but they were forced by the Britishers to grow indigo at their own land. So this is called in Katia system. They have to grow the indigo at least, three parts out of 20. They have to grow the indigo crop. Indian farmers were forced to grow the indigo crop at least 3 parts of their land out of 20. So Mahatma Gandhi went to Champaran, and you must know the first time Mahatma Gandhi met with Dr. Rajendra Prasad at Champaran. Rajendra Prasad and Rajkumar Shukla, who were present. So it was Rajkumar Shukla who called Mahatma Gandhi at Champaran. And when Mahatma Gandhi went to Champaran, the Champaran episode proved to be a turning point of Mahatma Gandhi's life. He emerged as a national hero after Champaran episode. So in 1617, he travelled to Champaran and supported the cause of the poor peasants of Champaran. The advent of Mahatma Gandhi at Champaran infuriated the Britishers. The Britishers got angry, and they asked Mahatma Gandhi to leave Champaran immediately. But Mahatma Gandhi defied. Mahatma Gandhi says that unless and until Indian peasants do not get the justice, I will not leave the Champaran. Finally, British government accepted the Mahatma Gandhi's proposal. We'll discuss on the other class. Now, the second episode, the second movement that led by Mahatma Gandhi was to support the peasants of Khera districts in Gujarat. Gujarat is hometown. And one more thing before explaining this particular topic, I would like to tell you, I would like to inform you that in this Khera district, Khera episode, first time Mahatma Gandhi met with Iron Man Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And Vallabhbhai Patel emerged as a national hero from that very Khera episode. What was the problem in Khera episode? I would like to explain right here. So, in 1970, 1980, he organized Satyagraha. Gandhiji organized Satyagraha to support the peasants of the Khera district in Gujarat. Right? Affected by crop failure and plague epidemic, the peasants of Khera could not pay the revenue and were demanding the revenue collection be revised. You see, because of the famine and because of the epidemic, the peasants of their district, they were unable to pay the revenue to the Britishers. They expressed their inability to pay the revenue to the British government. So that was the thing. So when Mahatma Gandhi knew all these things, he supported their cause. He supported the farmers of Ahmedabad, peasants of Khera district, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel also joined the Khera episode, and both of them. And Mahatma Gandhi told the Indian farmers, Indian peasants to not support the violence. Mahatma Gandhi told the Indian peasants to support. You see here, yes, the demanding that revenue collection be relaxed. So that was the demand of the peasants of Khera district, that their collection of revenue be relaxed. Later on, the British government agreed on the proposal that those who are able to pay the revenue, the revenue will be collected from those who can afford it. So that problem was also resolved by Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And the last episode was in 1918. You see, in 1918, that was the last turning point of Mahatma Gandhi, and this is the story of Mahatma Gandhi emerging as a national hero. So in 1980, Gandhi went to Ahmedabad to organize a Satyagraha movement amongst cotton mill workers. So cotton mill workers in Ahmedabad wanted to increase their wages, but the owner of the mill was, owners of the mill were, unwilling to increase their wages. When Mahatma Gandhi went to know all these things, Mahatma Gandhi supported the mill workers, and Mahatma Gandhi said that unless and until their wages are not increased by 35%, the hartal and the strike will be continued. Finally, the same thing happened. The mill owner agreed on the proposal made by Mahatma Gandhi, and finally, you see, their proposal was accepted. So all the movements led by Mahatma Gandhi, helped him to emerge as a national hero. People considered Mahatma Gandhi as their supreme leader, because Mahatma Gandhi always worked for the sake of poor people, sake of poor peasants, and sake of mass. So the advent of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian freedom struggle changed its whole texture. Understand my point? The advent of Mahatma Gandhi in the Indian freedom struggle changed its whole texture and dynamics in a fundamental way. Prior to it, the struggle was confined to the limited strata of the society. But when Mahatma Gandhi called, middle class also joined the movement. So Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a national hero. People consider him as a supreme leader. So in the next class, we have finished this point. And the next class, we'll talk about two things. The first thing will be the Jallianwala Bagh. And the second thing, the Rowlatt Act. So we'll discuss two things in my next class. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next class.